Hi, and welcome back to our channel, Those Guerreros. Thank you for tuning in for day 2 of our homeschool week, where we're talking and sharing all about our homeschool prep and what we are doing for curriculum this year. So today we're going to be dealing with what I'm using with my first grader, and all the curriculum that we have scheduled for our year 2021 through 2022. So I hope you see something that maybe perk your interest. If you have any questions, if you're wanting me to do a flip through later on, please be sure to put that in our comments. And while you're at it, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you. So to get started, we're going to start with Bible. And for our first grade Bible curriculum, we're going to be using Bible life packs. So these are super cool, okay? These come in 10 units. And for the first grade level, it actually comes with 2 teacher guides that we have here. So you can see the teacher guides are like quite thick. And there's 2 of them, you guys. One for each semester, where the Bible life packs, there's 10 of them, but look how thin they are. So they're really unassuming, easy and great for the kids. Don't make them feel overwhelmed. It's Bible. We want them to enjoy it. We want them to make connections and have a relationship with God and know Him for themselves. So we don't want to make it so grand that they're like, oh no. We want them to be like, yes, I love my Bible curriculum. So that's why we chose life packs for my first grader. Just something fun and new. Now, I know some of you guys are like, that know me personally, you're just like, wait a second, I thought she was a sunlighter. What happened? Well, we actually don't use sunlight until 3rd grade. We do use their pre-K for kindergarten. And then you'll see we kind of split some of those readers up to this year. But we take a break and we really focus on those fundamentals before getting back into sunlight. Hence why we use life packs for Bible. Now, the next thing that we use, of course, is history. And so once again, we're not using sunlight this year. For his first grade year, we don't go back to sunlight till 3rd grade. So we have a Becca, you guys. Now, I do like a Becca, but I will say they're not my favorite in terms of a whole curriculum. It's a lot of moving parts, a lot of work for the teacher, and a lot of work for the students. And for a young student, once again, we can find it to be overwhelming. However, in bits and pieces, I find a Becca to be a great resource. And so here we have My America and My World. And once again, if you guys are interested in a flip through, you can see I only purchased the teacher's edition because see how that focuses there? The teacher's edition is on one side and then it has the student book on the other side. And because we're dealing with the first grader, you guys, I didn't think it was necessary to have a separate student book. He's just learning how to read. It's not like he's reading all the answers. And even if he was, social studies is a subject that we really want to sit down and have discussions about. It's something that we're learning. It's not something that we're really testing at his age. He's only 6. And so we're not concerned with testing. We don't test in social studies or science before 8th grade in our family. Okay, so it's really about just enjoying the learning of it. Okay, so he's not doing history, he's doing social studies, and he'll do social studies, a different level of it next year as well for 2nd grade. Now, so we've covered Bible, we've covered history or social studies. Now we're going to get into our language arts curriculum. For language arts, we get so much more involved. There's so many more moving parts to language arts, and so, well, you'll see. Let me just show you. So first we have Evan Moore, you guys. Evan Moore is a tried and true favorite in our home. It really helps drill and nail in those grammar and punctuation facts. Anytime I need to supplement, even with my older child, I will go straight to the school supply store, grab an Evan Moore workbook. And so here we have grammar and punctuation, grade 1. I'll let you see that. Okay. And so we're excited. Now, like I said, lots of moving parts for language arts, especially at our first grade level. We're not using just one curriculum. We're kind of piecing together so that we can achieve what we need to achieve this year. With that said, we're doing it in the way that our student, our first grader, our 6-year-old learns best. Okay? Both of my kids really, they don't do well when using like the same thing all throughout the school year in the same way. So we're what you would consider eclectic homeschoolers. Okay, that means we have a bunch of different styles going on. Charlotte Mason, Christian. We do have secular pieces like Evan Moore. We have Montessori. You'll see there's a lot of tactile things, just all different types of learning styles. That way our kids can really get it and enjoy it. It's not mundane, it's not repetitious, because when things get too repetitious, they just, they kind of blank out. They just stop. They just are like, okay, mom, I'm done. And so that's not what we want. We want our kids to enjoy the process and enjoy learning. And so Evan Moore, grammar and punctuation. And then we have Christian Liberty Press for spelling. Now, Christian Liberty Press, we love them, but we only use them for a couple of years for a couple of subjects, guys. We use them for some of our language arts, we use them for some science, and we use them for math early on. So like our first grade, second grade. By third grade, we're kind of only using them for spelling. So we're kind of, weeding ourselves off from Christian Liberty Press. But I love how they do the early elementary, guys. Like, it's just cut and dry and to the point. You see that? There's no like extra bells and whistles. It doesn't take all day. Same thing with Evan Moore. It's just, we do the assignment, 5-10 minutes, no longer than 15 minutes, and we're moving on to the next thing. And that's what we want, especially with our young learners, but even with our older kids, right? Like, they're not focusing for more than 15-20 minutes. So we want to keep that in mind. Now, this is our phonics. So I was really torn between using Explode the Code and using Christian Books Phonics, because I love them both. They're very similar when you get inside of them and you start looking. The thing with Explode the Code, of course, the books are a little bit thinner, and so it's going to narrow down that subject matter. But you are going to use about 3 to 4 books a school year, as opposed to Christian Liberty Press. You're going to use 1 book. So you can see, once again, this is like thicker here, because this is for the whole year. And then we have the teacher's guide. So this is the student book. And then, most of it is cut and dry, but I do like the teacher's guide, because sometimes you're just like, what is that picture? What are they actually asking my kid to do? And so it's just good to have on hand. To me, it's worth the extra cost. So we're using Adventures in Phonics B this year. And then, of course, if you chose to use them for kindergarten, or, if you had a kid that is just now being introduced to phonics, you would start with A. Or, like I said, you can definitely go back to it, Explode the Code. We love them as well. So that's phonics. Now, of course, you're like, okay, Courtney, grammar, punctuation, spelling, phonics. What about actual books? Like, is your kid reading? Well, of course they are. Now, I did work full time last year. And so, with us doing Sunlight, it's a lot of reading. So, I actually didn't buy any new readers because working full time last year, coming into this year, we still had lots of books that we actually didn't finish. And I think they're more than appropriate. If you are familiar with Sunlight, you know that all of their coursework spans a couple of years and a couple of grades. So I think these books are more than appropriate for us to continue on. So of course, starting off, we have Fun Tales. We'll let that focus in some. There we go. And these are just little fun books that we can take our time and really practice our reading. They are going to really help with phonemic awareness. And then, of course, one of our favorite readers, you can see the little tab, we didn't finish it, but my son loves Uncle Wiggily. Unfortunately, because I was working full time, the stories are longer. We just didn't get to finish reading all the great stories. We're about halfway through, so we'll definitely finish this year with Uncle Wiggily, and I'm sure he'll stay on the shelf because my son just really enjoys him. Now, some other readers. I'm not going to show you every book we're going to read this year, guys, but we have Us Born Then and Now, and this will go hand in hand with his social studies. Is a blue whale. What does that say? The biggest thing there is. So once again, we love books that can work for reading purposes, read alouds, learning to read, and then also tying in with some of our subjects. So this definitely ties in with science, you guys. Now, here we have Stories from Africa. And this is great. Once again, it's going to tie right in with our social studies. What's smaller than a pygmy shrew? Hidden Tales from Eastern Europe. Now, this is really cool. So, this is a Sunlight book, but it's not in like one of their years or cores or HBLs, depending on when you started using Sunlight, different terminology. But it was on a great sale and I was just like, I had to get it. So that's fun. And we just have so many more, like Beatrix Potter and the Millie Molly Mandys. So yeah, lots of reading. Don't think we are not reading. Yes, we have our phonics. Yes, we have our grammar and punctuation. Yes, we have our spelling. But we're going to be doing a ton of reading and really working on our sight words as well as our phonemic awareness this year. Now, math. Now, my son loves and excels in math. So we didn't feel the need to use some crazy math program that was going to, work us and drill us and go on and on and on. We just figured we would go with our good, faithful Christian Liberty Press. It's the same thing I used with my daughter when she was in first grade. And so this is Liberty Mathematics, and this is level A, the first grade level. Now, Liberty gets a little confusing because Phonics B is first grade level. Well, level B for mathematics is actually second grade. So we're starting with level A, and I'll give you a quick look through. Let that focus there. So once again, with Liberty Press, not a tons of bells and whistles. It's more of a just get the job done. We'll learn it and move on. Now, of course, I do have some manipulatives, like we have a little clock, and of course, with Liberty comes, let's see here, like testing packets, and we do start testing in math in first grade. I remember earlier I said, hey, I don't test. That was for social studies, science, history, okay? But for math, we do test because we want to make sure that the student has a great grasp before moving on. So we also have, of course, a teacher's manual. Teacher's manuals are great because even though, yes, I know how to add 5 plus 1, it will often give us extra ways of teaching and making sure that our student understands the concept and give us different types of ideas for manipulatives and fun things like that. And so we also have a drill book. Now, for first grade, the drills are in their own separate book. When you get to level B for Liberty Mathematics, it's incorporated right into the book. So it's right there. You don't have to buy a second book. It's not like this book, that book, this book, that book. By level B, everything's together. Okay, we also have flashcards. I've already got them up, so I've just put them in a little baggie so they don't get all misplaced, misconstrued. But it's addition and subtraction flashcards here. Now, we're just about done, guys. Last but not least, we have science. Now, we are young earthers. Feel free to ask me about that. I can do a whole video on it if you'd like. But here, we're just using the world God made, okay? And this is also produced by Liberty Christian Press. And that is about it. There's nothing too much going on here. But we love Christian Liberty Press's Science for First and Second Grade. Okay, they have a special series called God's Creation Series. And it's all based on, let's turn to the table of contents here. Can you see that? Look at that. They did a whole science book based on the days of creation, and they do the same thing next year for grade 2. So really exciting. If you are a young earth, if you believe in creation science and not evolution, this is a great curriculum to start your littles off on, because we are of the belief that, our first graders don't need to know everything under the sun about science and everything under the sun about geography, but it's fun to introduce them to these things so that they can start developing interest and just really see how exciting the world really is. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our little video here on what we are using for our first grader this year, 2021-2022. Tune in tomorrow and we will have a curriculum for what we're using with our 8th grader. I know you guys are like, first grade and 8th grade? Yes, first grade and 8th grade. So tune back in, and once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, you guys. Have a blessed day.